In this video, I want to highlight the following. You can't see everything. Okay, I need to repeat this. You can't see everything. That's not part of your package of being a creature. You can't see nor notice everything. You can look at the bigger picture and notice things and see connections, but you can't see and notice everything in the absolute sense. Absolutely not in absolute sense. But I guess you get already that you can't see everything absolutely. Only God can. But I'm talking about you, about your environment, about your circumstances. You can't see everything, especially not everything at once. You can't even process everything you witness all at once. That's why you are a social creature. That's why it's important to have at least a few like-minded people with you who are also alert. But here's the thing, sometimes worldly people who are not even alert can notice things you don't. Does that mean that they're far better off than you? No. It just means that in certain areas they notice things more quicker than you do. It can be that, for example, you are hanging out with a former classmate. You used to be in college together and you're cool with one another. Both of you have your jobs and all of that. And one day you have this unbeliever who's a coworker that comes and sit with both of you. And once your former classmate leaves, he tells you, Kevin, let's say your name's Kevin, are you sure that individual is a friend of yours? You look at your co-worker very weird, and he senses that you're a bit upset, and he tells you, don't take this wrong. I'm not trying to interfere with your life, but I'm telling you, there's something ugly I sense about that guy. I mean, the type of questions he was asking you, didn't you feel a bit intimidated as if he's some police officer interrogating you? And you didn't think much about it, but the next day you remember what your colleague, your coworker told you, and then you realize, hold on a minute, that so-called buddy of yours, he did ask as if he was interrogating you indeed. You didn't notice it yourself. And then you begin to remember that almost every time, or better said, every time you met, he began to interrogate you. But you were not aware he was interrogating you. You got used to it. Now that coworker of yours is an unbeliever. He's not very smart in his own life, but he did notice this thing about that guy. And later you found out that this guy was part of some weird cult, and he was using you as a target for their psychic attacks, because people in that cult, they were transferring their bad energies onto other people. And that guy, who was so-called your buddy, selected you as a target. So behind the scenes, you had a witch coven, or actually two witch covens, putting you on the psychic attacks. And now you understand why at the job often you had those headaches appearing out of the blue. Why things went missing in home, just like that, why you had those brain fogs here and there. Now you begin to understand it. And now you understand that that body of yours came to you to ask questions to see whether the attacks were working. Now this body of yours both wanted your approval and be your friend, and at the same time he wanted to have the validation of the group he joined. So the group that he joined was so important to him that he even sacrificed your well-being just to be part of the group, but at the same time he wants your approval also. So he's messed up in the head. Because you hung out with him before he joined that group, you didn't notice the downward spiral he got into. But someone else, in this case a stranger, noticed it. Now look, I'm not telling you to listen to everyone, because some people can be playing wrong. I'm telling you, be alert and evaluate things. Sometimes a so-called stranger or someone you least expect who can see things much clearer than you do, and listening to the right individual at the right time can be life-saving both for you and for those around you. I've been through this. Not only that it happens to me, but I also ended up informing or putting notice to other people about certain individuals in their lives. I remember This a long time back during high school, there was this girl who was kind of looking for attention, and there were some of those guys using out with who were really excited about her. But I saw already, you get involved with this girl, you're going to get trouble. So I told the guys, watch out with her. They laughed it off, thinking, Rashid, why you worried like that, man? Well, it ended up that one of the guys made a move on her in the school, and she later pretended as if she didn't want it. But the guy ended up being expelled from school, and I'm not sure whether he did he made a police report about it, but later found out that the girl was lying, but nevertheless, the guy's reputation was ruined at such a young age. And after it all happened, some of those guys said, boys, do you remember Rashid told us to watch out with that girl? He told us the truth. No, I'm not telling you this to exalt myself. I'm telling you, I saw something they couldn't see or they didn't want to see because they were so into what they may do with the girl. Well, I looked further. I know the girl was what they considered hot, attractive, all of that, but I look further because I know consequences will last. And if it's bad consequences, well, you'll have to put up with it. So if it's possible to prevent or circumvent harm, you circumvent or prevent harm. But I also experienced that people listened and worked out well. But most of the time when I alerted people, they either laughed it off or they told me, why are you worried like that, man? They didn't take it seriously. Well, more I comes to, I can pray for you, I can alert you, but still you need to learn to listen. And unfortunately, I saw often people didn't listen. But you know what? That's not me. I'm not guilty. And I'm not blaming them for not listening. They just need to learn to listen. I'm not going to put them in a black box. I have nothing but Christ-centered love towards those people. But I admit, they didn't listen. So they're not people I can keep around me. Because come on, I can't notice danger or notice something bad and I'm informing you and you pretend it's not there. If you're in denial like that, you're enabling danger. And the same I want to tell you here. If you have people that want to remain in denial, they are enablers. Even if they don't intend it, even if they don't mean it like that, they are enablers. So watch out with them. Well, that's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.